Just a quick little proviso that while we are cheerfully calling all vegans, the opinions and beliefs expressed by them do not always reflect our own.
Hey man, just about to watch this interview with old school hippie and activist Gene the animal rights machine Baur. Whoa, you're not looking at me that way, are you, Gene? Yeah, far out. Okay, man, cut. Our thanks to the good-natured Gene Baur of Farm Animal Sanctuary for being a champion for animals and for being such a good sport. Peace.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Calling All Vegans. I'm your host, Sue Spar. We're taking the show on the road today and filming from Pegasus Animal Sanctuary, located in little old Port Perry, Ontario. Such sanctuaries are havens for animals to be cared for and protected for the rest of their lives, where they're safe from being commodified and where their physical, emotional, and social needs are met. And sanctuaries are also important for educating the public and changing the way society considers and treats non-human animals. But providing them refuge doesn't come cheap. We are very fortunate to be, I was going to say sitting down today, but I guess we're standing today with a pioneer whose efforts as a young man spawned a global farm animal rescue, sanctuary, and undercover investigations movement back in 1986. To fund his activism, he would sell veggie dogs out of a Volkswagen van outside of Grateful Dead concerts, making him a level 99 hippie and vegan. And he is a self-proclaimed hippie, he mentioned inside. Yeah. He has dedicated the last 36 years of his life to fighting against systemic animal abuse and opening people's eyes, hearts, and minds to veganism. He is helping to bring awareness to Pegasus today, so I will respect his time and keep this short, which is very unlike me. Please welcome animal activist and co-founder and president of the Epic Farm Sanctuary, Gene Baur, to Calling All Vegans.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much.
So what brings you to this neck of the woods?
I am here to celebrate the opening of the Education Center here at Pegasus Animal Sanctuary. I love visiting other sanctuaries and seeing what is happening on the ground. I love meeting people in the community and seeing what is resonating. Yesterday we visited a farm that has been converted from a cattle farm to a sanctuary. We ate at a couple of amazing vegan restaurants, got to spend time with, Jack and Rita and other great activists here. But today we're here to celebrate the opening of this education building at Pegasus.
Yeah, and they are celebrating their 5-year
fifth anniversary. That's
as
true
well.
too. Yeah, 5th anniversary.
Now, in 1986, I saw the Animals film. And stopped wearing animals, buying products, tested on them, eating meat, honey, and gelatin, and I amped up my activism. Around the same time, you not only went vegan, but opened a farm animal sanctuary and started speaking up about animal rights long before it was mainstream. What sparked you to take these steps?
I just didn't want to participate in the abuses that humans were causing to the planet or to other animals. I, as a young kid, learned about veal. My grandmother told me about this in the 1970s. I said, I'm never going to eat veal. In the 1980s, I started learning more about the food system more broadly, the environmental harms, and just how we could live well without eating other animals. Yeah. So I said, if I can live well without causing unnecessary harm, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And so I went vegan in 1985 and felt that other people, if they knew about this, wouldn't want to support it either. So started doing undercover investigations, going into farms, stockyards, slaughterhouses, documenting conditions. And our assumption was, we'll show people and they'll go vegan. And,
surprise!
Didn't quite, it's a little more complicated than that. So we started finding, during these investigations, we'd find living animals thrown in trash cans or living animals left on piles of dead animals. So we started rescuing them, and that's how the sanctuaries began, actually grew out of our investigations. And so we continue rescuing animals. We continue encouraging people to get to know these individuals as friends, not food. We're also we've worked for many years to end the worst cruelties, which we're continuing to do. And now I think it's really important to look at changing the food system. Yeah. People can make choices, but also when you're operating within a broader system where, hamburgers are cheap and convenient at fast food restaurants, a lot of people tend to eat them. So if we can figure out ways to shift and make plant-based foods, healthy foods, sustainably produced foods, justly produced foods, compassionately produced foods, more accessible, more widely, that I think will create enormous change. So in addition to changing hearts and minds, we need to change systems and machinery.
Yeah.
Because right now, billions of dollars of government funding goes into animal agriculture. So we need to change that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, back in '86, there was not a lot of strategic thinking. We didn't even have like a 2-year plan. You know, it was just investigate. There's a problem. It was one step after the next.
Right. Yeah. You just did it.
Just did it.
Well, what do they say that perfection is the enemy of progress? So you just
Perfect
got
is
to
the
go
en-
for it.
Perfect is the enemy of the good.
Yeah,
And sometimes
yeah.
you can plan, it's paralysis by analysis. That can happen too. So it's a balance, right? You want to
Yeah.
be smart, you want to be strategic, you want to be thoughtful, but you need to act.
Yeah, definitely. Now, it's so heartwarming that the animals in your care are able to be their natural selves with their own personalities. How many residents live at each of your 2 locations?
Well, we have currently almost 700 at our farm in Watkins Glen, New York, and a little over 100 at our farm in Acton, California, near Los Angeles.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of animals,
Yeah.
and we've had more in the past
No,
as well.
I'm teasing.
Yeah.
I operated a rescue and sanctuary myself for about 15 years. I had 25 guys in my care, and whoa, the expense and the heartache and
Yeah, no, it's doing shelter work and rescue work. You're kind of in an impossible reality because ethically you must rescue everyone, and practically you can't.
Right,
So every
I know.
sanctuary has to say no and recognize that we cannot rescue ourselves out of this problem. So you rescue those you can.
Yeah.
And then I think it's very important to tell their stories, to
Yeah, keep
educate people.
educating.
That's it,
Absolutely.
right? And education and advocacy are also very important.
yeah. Now, you are a mentor to many animal activists, but is there anyone in our movement who made you kind of giddy when you met them?
Well, I mean, I still get giddy and I'm still inspired when I see people just doing the work every day that aren't necessarily getting a lot of attention.
Right, yeah.
That to me, those are the real heroes.
Yeah, they keep grinding away without
without
ego.
all the accolades. And
Yeah.
Absolutely. So every day there are people doing amazing work that I think should be recognized and appreciated.
That
and,
old unsung heroes.
oh my gosh, yeah, there's so many unsung heroes in this movement. Absolutely.
There you go,
Absolutely.
but you're lucky I'm vegan, huh? Lucky I'm vegan. Now, I rewatched your interview by Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
The first time around, I didn't know who he was because I don't follow that, but now I do. I'm not a fan of his for many reasons. But,
I'm with you.
But his love for animals and his openness to what you were saying, it actually blew me away. Were you surprised as well, or you had kind of a heads up?
I didn't know what to expect going into an interview with Tucker Carlson. And my guess, though, was that there weren't too many people in his audience that were very sympathetic anyway.
Yeah,
so I
that's
thought,
right.
what have I got to lose,
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. You're only going to get hate mail from like 9 people, right? The people who watched, right? Who didn't turn the channel when they saw it was about animal rights.
But he's got a real love of animals, which is interesting. And, he talks about dogs being abused and how people who abuse dogs should get the death penalty, which is pretty crazy,
Yeah.
but that's what he talks about. But I just wanted to speak about common experiences. For me, one of the biggest ways to be effective is to find common ground.
Yeah.
And, when he talked about human beings having the right and the ability to abuse other animals, I said, look, we have the power to do this,
Yeah.
but whether we should or not is another thing.
Yeah.
And with power comes responsibility.
For sure.
And I think that really resonated with him.
Yeah, well, it definitely did. Now, here's a cheery little query. If humans wind up extincting themselves, is it more likely to be because of climate change, zoonotic disease outbreaks, or antibiotic resistance?
Gosh, that's a really big question.
No pressure.
I don't believe that humans will ultimately ever extinct ourselves. I think we could end up with a very smaller number of humans on the planet. And my guess is that of all of those, it's probably between climate change and zoonotic diseases. Gosh, it's really, really hard to say.
And antibiotic resistance. May as well go for all
Well,
three
yeah,
of them now.
antibiotic resistance is another one, but
Yeah.
I think the others are kind of bigger and
Yeah.
beyond humans a little bit more than the antibiotics.
Yeah.
That's why I was going for those two, but
Plucking that low-hanging fruit.
oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, we do so much harm to this planet as a species, so I think a lot fewer humans would be better for the
Yeah,
planet.
yeah.
I don't know that we'll ever be fully extinct, though.
See, yeah, it breaks my heart that we are dragging down others with us, like all these innocent species and, you know, the natural world just in general. It's terrible.
No, we're causing enormous
I know.
harm. We're causing a loss of biodiversity. We're causing the we're contributing to the climate crisis, and we're exploiting and causing enormous suffering for billions of animals, innocent animals who we mass produce, mass breed, put into confinement systems in cages, feed them drugs to keep them alive, and then we kill and eat them. You know, it's just brutal. And
Yeah.
by doing this, we need to cut down rainforests and destroy ecosystems to grow food to feed farm animals, which is also destructive. And then we have people working in these factory farms and slaughterhouses, sometimes prison labor.
Yeah.
You know, so this is an oppressive, abusive, extractive system that is bad for everybody. And then consumers eat these products and get sick.
Yeah.
You know, it's been estimated we could save 70% on healthcare costs in the U.S. by shifting to a whole foods plant-based diet.
Yeah.
So this is a system that is harming innocent animals, harming workers, destroying the environment, harming wildlife, causing a loss of biodiversity, contributing to the climate crisis, making consumers sick, costing taxpayers billions of dollars a year. It makes no sense when you really look at it. So hopefully, as time goes, we will start making conscientious choices to change our food system towards plant-based agriculture instead of factory farming. So hopefully we will do it consciously.
Yeah.
But if we don't, I think nature's going to make us do some things.
Yeah, and then if you start adding in the trillions of marine animals, my God.
yes. Oh,
Aren't
yeah.
we a lovely species?
Oh my goodness. You know, in the US alone, about 10 billion domesticated land animals are exploited for food. But then you have, as you say, the trillions of aquatic animals.
Yeah.
And they're not even counted in terms of individual numbers.
that's weight.
They're counted by
Tonnage.
pound. Exactly. Exactly.
Terrible.
So
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing
yeah,
because
how
it's so
insane
true.
it is. Well, when you go to the stockyards and auctions, you know, where farm animals are being sold, they're also sold by the pound or by the hundredweight.
Yeah.
They're not even sold sometimes as individuals.
Kind of
but-
robs you of your individuality.
Oh,
I'd say.
well, these animals are not seen as individuals,
No.
right? They're seen as commodities. They're seen as
Yeah.
production units. There might be some individuals who produce at a high level. Then farmers tend to really like those animals. I
Yeah.
said my favorite cow because they're producing a lot of milk and a
Yeah.
lot of calves, for example. But they're not seen as individuals who have feelings and who develop relationships. They're seen as production units, and
Yeah.
that's fundamentally the problem that sanctuaries try to challenge and get at, is to shift from seeing other living beings, and humans could be in this category too, as units of production, you know, and
Yeah, they have their own inherent worth. They don't need to be commodified. I should say.
Exactly.
Their value is just being themselves.
Absolutely. And when we treat others as companions, it enriches our lives as well, right? As opposed to commodifying.
Right.
And that's unfortunately what happens to animals in the food system on a daily basis. And most consumers are unwittingly supporting it. And that is sanctuaries, you know, come in to say, these animals are our friends, not our food. They are companions, not commodities. We can live well without causing unnecessary harm.
Right.
And we want to invite people to think about their food choices, think about how we live and what the consequences of our actions are, how we relate to other animals, and ultimately make choices that are aligned with our values and interests. Most people are humane. Most people would rather live on a planet that is healthy. Most people would rather eat food that doesn't make them sick, which all means we should be going towards plant-based agriculture and eating plants instead of animals.
What a great idea.
It's kind of basic, really, right? But it's one of those things that we grow up with habits that are very unhealthy.
Oh, yeah.
And then we
definitely.
develop these rationalizations and delusions to continue with these bad habits that are
Yeah.
so harmful. But if we think about it with an open mind and look at empirical reality clearly, decisions become pretty easy, I think.
Yeah. Well, we have a psychologist here who's probably in full agreement with everything you're saying. The animal agriculture industry has enjoyed operating in near secrecy, unhampered for decades. Ag-gag laws ensure this continues. Even if people don't care about farmed animals, why should they still be concerned about these dangerous laws? deep.
Yeah, I think that one of the qualities or conditions that allows abuse to occur is a lack of transparency, and that allows industry to sell products without by misleading consumers.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this with organic even, and organic is better than factory farmed products, but organic usually sounds better than it is.
Well, you still wind up dead
Animals
in the
still
end.
wind up dead.
Yeah.
And in the case of cage-free or free range, you also have
Mosquito that time.
mosquito. Oh,
Way to go, buddy.
in the case of cage-free or free range, you also have a situation where products are being marketed and made to sound better than they are. So transparency is critical.
Yeah.
And the factory farming industry doesn't want people to see what they're doing, because what they're doing is appalling and most citizens would be upset by it.
Yeah.
So they passed these ag laws, like you mentioned, to make it illegal to do undercover investigations, to make it illegal to publicly discuss and expose the cruelty of factory farming. And it really speaks to how out of sync this industry is with humanity and with what most of us believe is okay. And so ag laws are one of the industry's attempts to continue operating in secrecy, continue to prevent transparency and discourse, to prevent informed decisions on the part of consumers, because most consumers would rather not support abuse. Most consumers would rather not support a system that's just causing so much harm. So ag laws are a problem, but I don't think it's insurmountable.
Yeah, I hope people will start to see their desperate and pathetic attempts to dupe them, right?
Yes.
Again, animal ag, it's like the new big tobacco. They have deep pockets, savvy lobbyists, huge government subsidies, powerful political allies, clever marketing campaigns, media buy-in, societal indoctrination, and then, of course, they have ag laws on their side. Having so much at stake, including huge vested financial interests, can this industry be dismantled and public opinion turned against them in much the same way we did with tobacco?
Yes.
Cigarette. Okay.
It's going to take some time.
I'm sorry? What did you say?
Absolutely it can. And
Yeah.
so there are economic systems, there are social systems, there are belief systems. There's an infrastructure that's been created to support our current factory farming industry, but there are also signs of change. There are urban farming operations that are starting to reach people in communities. There's community-based agriculture. There's community-supported agriculture. There's farmers markets. There's vertical farms in urban settings. So there are many solutions to this problem. A big problem though, is that government programs are currently enabling the factory farming system. So we need to stop doing that. We need to take these supports away and allow these other alternatives to flourish without the sort of unfair playing field that they're currently operating on. But I do believe that plant-based agriculture is inherently more efficient, that we can feed more people with less land and fewer resources, and that we will shift in that direction. It's just a matter of how fast and how quickly the structures that are currently in place can be dismantled.
Yeah, the subsidies certainly don't help, do they? No. So somebody's turning the big 6-0 in a month.
Yes.
What's your wish going to be when you blow out the candles on your cake? And if you have any suggestions on how people can celebrate your birthday with you or in your honor?
Yeah, well, I would just say that every day is a birthday.
Yeah.
We wake up every morning if we're lucky, right?
Yeah,
and we're born again every day in some way. But yeah, 60 years. So I'll be 60 years in July.
I'm not too far behind you, so.
Yeah. Well, and I've been doing this since I was 23.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful for the awareness that people now have about our food system. I remain frustrated about how slow change happens. But, on my birthday or on any day, I would just encourage people to try to make conscientious choices, to try to live in a way that is compassionate, try to live in a way that is aligned with their own humanity and all of our humanity. And so that would be my wish, as it is every day.
Very good. Since I was a like a preschooler, I've been wishing, well, I used to even wish on turkey wishbones, which, my God. But on my birthday cake, it was always, I wish that people would stop hurting animals. So that's been my lifelong. Any advice for someone wishing to start an animal sanctuary? Well, other than don't do it.
Whenever folks contact me about starting a sanctuary, I encourage them to start slowly, to not get in over your head, because once you start rescuing animals, it is a commitment of years, and you need to be ready for that. And the rescue can be, exciting, exciting, and feel good, and it is good in many ways, but then there's the ongoing responsibility. So just to start slowly and to be strategic and thoughtful about rescues, because there are always animals that need to be rescued, and we have to be thoughtful about how we do it, so we're able to leverage the rescue, leverage the story to reach more people.
What about, do you ever suggest that people just support the sanctuaries that are already out there and, allow them to grow, and because the infrastructure is already there and they have the experience?
Yes. There are already
I'm not saying instead of, I'm saying in as well as.
I think the sanctuary ecosystem is evolving, like every ecosystem is evolving. And I think that, for folks who want to start their own sanctuary, be very careful, start slowly, don't get over your head.
Right.
And consider supporting sanctuaries that are already in place. And people can do this financially. People can also do this as volunteers. Sanctuaries have a great need for workers and labor. So that's another way people can help. And then when people volunteer at sanctuaries, they get to know certain animals. They then become ambassadors for the sanctuary, for the animals, for this bigger cause. So as a volunteer, you're in a position to do all kinds of other good things. And having a sanctuary, you can do those as well, but you can do it as a volunteer at another sanctuary.
Right. No, that's really good advice. Now, a little shout out to your book. Well, something's sitting on it right now, but we'll put it up when we do the video. Living the Farm Sanctuary Life, which I have here just waiting for your thoughtful, well-crafted, witty words to be written inside of it. Again, no pressure. Now, they have copies here of Farm Sanctuary, Changing Hearts and Minds About Animals and Food?
Yes.
Are they available for purchase?
Yes, the book is here. It's available. Okay. It's called Farm Sanctuary, Changing Hearts and Minds About Animals and Food. It came out in 2008, and it's about the founding of Farm Sanctuary, about the investigative work we did, about some of the animals who have been rescued. So it's really about the history and the why we do this work.
Well, and it stays relevant to this day.
It's still very relevant. Exactly. Still very relevant, in terms of industry consolidation, animals seen as commodities, the systems and structures that support this messed up system. And the next book I wrote that came out in 2015 is called Living the Farm Sanctuary Life, and that's more of a how to do this, and it includes 100 vegan recipes from amazing amazing authors.
Thank you.
So that's the book.
Yeah, do a little work here. I'm doing all the heavy lifting. Not great.
So that's a picture at the Watkins Glen Farm, and they actually took the picture in the sheep pasture, and we timed it where the sheep were running by and behind me, and so there's 100 vegan recipes in there, and how to set up your vegan kitchen, and so that's the how.
That's the part I need. I definitely won't have a recipe in there.
Yeah.
John, my husband, he's the cook in the kitchen. So, so last question. Which would you prefer to do? Eat one of the rubbery vegan cheeses we had back in 1986 or muck out a stall?
Oh my goodness. It depends
Both
on my
are
mood.
So wonderful.
It depends on my mood. It depends on my mood. I'll go with the mucking out the stall.
Okay, yeah. Jean, I'm really grateful to you for sharing your time and your wisdom and your worldview. And I appreciate your tireless efforts to transition our broken animal-based food system to something safe, secure, and sustainable by working to make plant-based eating the new normal. You've sat down with the biggest and the best, so this has meant a great deal to me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Oh, anything you want to say about Jack's? Jack's sanctuary. Any words of wisdom to him?
Well, Jack and I have been talking for a number of years, and so I've shared a lot of ideas. We've shared ideas together, and again, like with many sanctuaries, start small.
Yeah.
Educate people, be a model of the kind of world we want to create, and I think they're doing that here. So I'm just very grateful to be part of this, and grateful for your time and energy and concern about these issues and the work you're doing to educate people as well.
Thank you.
This is a community effort, and all of us bring something different, and all of the different voices, perspectives matter, and they make a difference.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.